that man now wants to ratchet up the war, America's proxy war against Russia.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough language, but let me try to do the impossible and explain Donald Trump. Let's not forget that Donald Trump is fully aware of a certain reality. And that reality is if there are strategic strikes into the depth of Russia carried out by non-nuclear powers acting at the behest or empowered by nuclear powers, Russia will treat that as attack as if it came from the nuclear power. This is Russia's nuclear doctrine, the one that was promulgated last year in November. At that time, the CIA, when reading this nuclear doctrine and considering the fact that Joe Biden was about to give permission to the Ukrainians to use American-provided ATACMS missiles to strike into the strategic depth of Russia, the CIA said there's a better than 50% chance there will be a nuclear war by the end of the year. That's the CIA. That's not Scott Ritter calling, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. That's the CIA giving a cold-hearted assessment that if we allow Ukraine to strike Russia strategically using American-provided weapons, Russia could very well use nuclear weapons in response. This led Donald Trump to make a statement in early December that said, when I'm president, I won't allow this policy to continue, because he understands the ramifications of it. He knows the risks. And so I have to believe that that same knowledge base exists. He's under pressure right now because Ukraine is getting their butts kicked. Every lie Donald Trump was told to tell, because again, he is not the originator of data. He's fed this data by people about the number of Russian casualties, and smaller amounts of Ukrainian casualties, have been proven to be a lie. We now know that Ukraine has suffered 1.7 million dead and missing, 625,000 dead and missing this year alone. That's 90,000 a month. 90,000 a month, Ukrainian dead and missing. We know this to be the case. Ukraine can't replace them. Russia is pummeling them. And the president's trying to create the conditions for some sort of, ending of this conflict. But in order to do that, he has to be seen as not abandoning Ukraine. So he puts out this god-awful statement, which is as stupid as possible. And then he backs it up by saying that the United States, in 6 weeks' time, I believe, is going to sell Ukraine 3,600 and some odd ERAM missiles, the ERAM missile. The ERAM missile is a missile specifically designed, extended range attack munition, I think it is, specifically designed by the U.S. Air Force in 2023, 2024 for Ukraine. It's supposed to be an accurate system that can be delivered by the aircraft available to the Ukrainians that provide up to 700 kilometers worth of strike distance into Russian territory to level the playing field. The thing about it is, it was conceived in 2023, 2024, but it would take 2 years to bring it up to production. Gosh, I don't know. That's 2025. So they haven't even begun serial production of this munition yet. When they do, the maximum sustained production capacity for ERAMs is 1,000 missiles a year. Now, we are talking 6 weeks from now. If they begin serial production today, we're going to be able to deliver, 10, 15 missiles to Ukraine. And here's the kicker. They can't use them because the United States has to approve the targets. So Trump knows that if the Ukrainians use an ERAM against Russia, the Russians will know that we targeted it. Therefore, we have become directly involved in this conflict. We are a direct participant of this conflict, and that's the end of any peace treaty, because he can't allow these weapons to use. He knows what will happen. It was a 50% chance of nuclear war last year. I would imagine the odds even gone up given the stakes at play here. I'm sitting here trying to work with this guy to bring an end to this conflict, to have better relations, to bring about nuclear arms control. And he's saying the right things about the potential of this, but then he does something like this. Thank God Vladimir Putin is a very smart man and a very patient man, and he's not going to take the bait. This is just not going to happen. This is something that is not going to happen because it can't happen. We don't have the ability to follow through on this. And even if we were to provide them with these weapons, they can't use them in the way that they would desire to use them, because it would get us involved in a war that would very likely end nuclear.
It makes you wonder, General Kellogg, Secretary Rubio, Secretary Hegseth, do they know what's going on? Are they feeding this nonsense to him? Are they encouraging him to say all these things. There's Kellogg. We thought he was out of the picture, but he's right there on the other side of Trump. It's not shown in this picture is Zelensky. So this was a very significant gathering in the Oval Office.
This is Kellogg's.
Or is he listening to Lindsey Graham in a golf cart?
Yeah, this is Kellogg. This is Rubio. Not so much Hegseth, although this is a system that was developed and Hegseth's going to play the economic game. As I said before, Hegseth's a battalion operations officer operating several pay grades above what he should be. He's not qualified to be Secretary of Defense. And this is one of the reasons why. This is the kind of thing you veto. This is the kind of thing you say, hell no. But you got Marco Rubio, who does not want this policy to succeed. And I hope the president understands that Rubio is not his friend, not his ally. Rubio is his enemy. And Rubio is empowered by Keith Kellogg, who is the antithesis of settlement. He's a man who has embraced 100% the Ukrainian narrative. He doesn't, he downplays everything the Russian says. He's the one who pollutes President Trump's mind with the nonsense about casualties. And he's the one who's pushed the ERAM missile solution. It's something that Zelensky's been asking for. This is to placate Zelensky. They gave Kellogg a medal. He marched up yesterday on Ukrainian National Day and received a medal from the Ukrainian president. Why? We now know the answer.
Did the Russians destroy German Taurus missiles over the weekend? And did President Putin more or less say to Chancellor Merz, enough is enough, pal. You want Berlin to look like it did after World War II? Keep this up.
Well, I think Medvedev might have said that. But Putin
all right, I'm getting a little carried away. I apologize.
Yeah, Putin is far more mature, and he doesn't say things like that. He doesn't issue idle threats. But what the Russians are very good at doing is letting actions speak for themselves. And what we've seen over the course of the past week is Russia has begun the deliberate targeting and destruction, not just a signal. In the past, they've sent a cruise missile in to blow up a workshop here, a workshop there to send a signal. We know what's going on. Now they're coming in and leveling facilities. They've leveled an electronics facility, American-made Flex. They've taken out the facility that was built by the Germans to produce long-range missiles, including analogs of the Taurus. And they're showing that their intelligence is impeccable, meaning that they can track material into Ukraine and target it before it becomes operational. And this should be a lesson to anybody talking about the ERAM. It will never be used. They're going to show up in airfields in Western Ukraine, and the Russians will deploy the weapon systems necessary to take them out.